Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the September meeting of the Williamson County Schools Board of Education. My name is Jason Golden. I'm the superintendent for Williamson County Schools. We are not yet calling this meeting to order because we have the privilege of having 6 board members sworn in tonight prior to the start of the meeting. And I did want to let the folks in the audience know, and folks who are watching at home, that we chose 6:30 to swear in the new board members and then start the meeting after they are sworn in, mainly because we know there'll be family members who are watching this video at some point in the future. We wanted to make sure that we actually recorded this and actually broadcast this event. So with that, let me introduce Williamson County Mayor Rogers Anderson, who will take the floor and introduce you to our new school board members and swear them in. Mayor Anderson.
You go ahead. You're running the show.
To all of those school board members that are being sworn in, Carol says she wants you down front. And if you have family members, bring them up.
Mr. Mayor.
So for all of you that I see, many of you have brought Bibles, and I can do this individually or we can do it collectively. How do you want to do it, Ms. Carol?
Collectively would be great.
All right, we'll do it collectively. So you that have brought your Bibles, I hope all of you have a copy of your oath of office, because I'm going to ask you to raise your left hand. For those that won't, put your left hand on the Bible. Right hand up, left hand on the Bible. There you go. And there's a few spots in here that you have to say your name or what district that you are representing. Otherwise, it's always the same. So again, thank you for doing what you're doing. We appreciate that very much. We look forward to working with you. We're all in the same community trying to get the same outcomes, a better place for all of our children and our community. So with that, if you would, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, your name.
I, Tanya Gifford,
Do solemnly swear that I will perform with fidelity the duties of the office to which I have been elected and which I'm about to assume. I do solemnly swear to support the constitutions of Tennessee and the United States and to faithfully perform the duties of the office as a member of the Board of Education representing your district, Education District of Williamson County, Tennessee. If you would, congratulations, sign that, get those to...
Everybody turn right around there and sign.
If you
So
will
family members can step back now, and we're going to let the board members sign.
Thank you.
If you want to go there and take pictures of them.
Lefty.
Thank you.
Pens are down by Tony. If you haven't signed yet, please give them to Lydia when you're done. Did you sign?
I'm about to say.
Oh, perfect. It's too late, don't worry about it. It didn't work. Board members, I'm so sorry. Then come back to the front. We need a quick group photo after you've turned your cues up.
Covered.
Mayor. first. Sarah
Don't
next.
go anywhere. One more. All right, 1, 2, 3. Let me do one more. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you guys so much.
Hang on.
Okay, let's go.
With that, before I call the meeting to order, I did want to welcome and make sure we named our new board members. District 1, Mr. Tony Bostic. District 3, Dr. Dennis Driggers. District 5, Dr. Margie Johnson. District 7, Melissa Wyatt. District 9, Dr. Claire Reeves. And District 11, Tanya Hibma. Welcome. I now call this meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, September is the day that we initiate our election of board chair, so this beginning will be a little bit unusual for those of you who are experienced with Williamson County Schools board meetings. With us calling the meeting to order, our first order of business is to record attendance. We will then say the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence, and then we will have election of the board chair, at which time I will turn the gavel over to our new board chair. With that, before we record attendance, I do want to let folks know our internet is down tonight, and so we will be doing largely a voice vote through the process of this meeting because our electronic system provided by the Tennessee School Boards Association is down. With that, I do ask that we record attendance, and Ms. Glenn, if you would, call for the roll.
Mr. Tony Bostic,
Here.
Mr. Dan Cash,
Here.
Mr. Dennis Driggers,
Here.
Mr. Josh Brown,
Here.
Miss Margie Johnson. Here. Mr. Jay Galbraith,
Here.
Miss Melissa Wyatt. Here. Miss Donna Clements. Here. Miss Claire Reeves. Here. Mr. Eric Welch.
Here.
Mrs. Tanya Hibna.
Here.
Mr. Drayson Beasley.
Present.
We have 12 present.
Thank you. If you would, please rise for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The next item on the agenda is election of school board chair for 2024-25. I wanted to make sure you all were aware of our practice. I will first ask for any nominations. I'll call for nominations for board chair. Once that process is finished, we will close nominations. I will then ask for your choice of board chair by voice vote for the chosen nominees. We'll start with District 1 and work our way through. And when that work is done, if we receive a majority of 7, that will become your board chair for the 2024-25 year. With that, I now open the floor for nominations. Are there any nominations for board chair?
I'd like to nominate Drayson Beasley.
Mr. Welch has nominated Drayson Beasley. Any other nominations? Mr. Cash has nominated Josh Brown. Are there any other nominations? With that, I now close nominations. The next piece of this is for votes. Again, as I just mentioned, we'll start with District 1. If you would, please voice your choice, either Mr. Drayson Beasley or Mr. Josh Brown. And we will have Ms. Glenn Call the order. Ms. Glenn.
Tony Bostic,
Josh Brown.
Dan Cash,
Josh Brown.
Dennis Driggers,
Josh Brown.
Josh Brown,
Josh Brown.
Margie Johnson,
Josh Brown.
Jay Galbraith,
Josh Brown.
Melissa Wyatt,
Josh Brown.
Donna Clements,
Josh Brown.
Claire Reeves,
Josh Brown.
Eric Welch,
Jason Beasley.
Tanya Hibna,
Josh Brown.
and Drayson Beasley.
Josh Brown.
Thank you. On a vote 11 to 1, Mr. Josh Brown is selected as board chair for 2025. Mr. Brown? If I may, those in the audience, give us a minute to reset the seating.
This will be your people coming in. This is the person from out of town. She wants to come next. And before you leave, I need you to sign 4 diplomas. There'll just be 9 tonight.
All right, I want to say, first of all, thank you very much to the board for that vote of confidence. I'm honored. We have the privilege of helping to lead what is the best district in the state, and I think we have lots of opportunities ahead of us to make it even better. I think there's going to be some challenges ahead that we can work together to try to overcome, but I believe we have the resources and the people on this board that can rise to that occasion. My commitment to you guys on the board and to the Jason and his team and to the public is fairness, making sure everybody is heard, especially those in our community, families, parents in WCS. That's really, really important. We've been on a really good trajectory with that, and I want us to continue that as we go forward. So thank you very much. All right, let's proceed with our next item on the agenda, and that's the election of vice chair. As we just did, we will open nominations now for anyone seeking to be nominated for or seeking to make a nomination for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Jay Galbraith.
Okay? Are there other nominations?
I'd like to respectfully decline, but, and to nominate Dan Cash.
Okay, so Mr. Galbraith has declined the nomination and nominated Mr. Cash. Are there, Mr. Bostic?
Yeah, Margie Johnson.
Are there other nominations? Okay, I'll declare the nominations closed. We have 2 nominations that have been made, Mr. Dan Cash and Ms. Margie Johnson. As we did before, we will go around starting in District 1. Please state the name of the person you choose for vice chair.
Tony Bostic,
Margie Johnson.
Dan Cash,
Dan Cash.
Dennis Driggers,
Dan Cash.
Josh Brown,
Dan Cash.
Margie Johnson,
Margie Johnson.
Jay Galbraith,
Dan Cash.
Melissa Wyatt,
Margie Johnson.
Donna Clements,
Dan Cash.
Claire Reeves,
Dan Cash.
Eric Welch,
Margie Johnson.
Tanya Hibna,
Dan Cash.
and Drayson Beasley.
Yes, Mr. Dan Cash.
The vote is 8 for Mr. Cash and 4 for Ms. Johnson.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Cash, on your election to vice chair. Okay, with that, we will now move to items of particular public interest, which we refer to as public comment. We're always happy to have people come before us as a board and express their views and opinions. And we have tonight 10 people who have signed up to speak. I will call your name in the order that we have them on the list for the sign up. I will call the first person, then I'll also call the second person so he or she can be ready to step up when the first person is finished. Our first speaker is, I should also say, we have 30 minutes set aside for this, which means each person has up to 3 minutes. If you don't choose to use the entire 3, that's perfectly fine, but you have 3 if you need it. So our first speaker is Corey Martin, followed by Amy Cook. And let me also say, I don't think our electronic timer is working, so I'm going to time you from here.
Okay.
So I'll give you a high sign when you've got about 15 seconds.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks for the opportunity to speak, and for the first time in quite a few years, allow me to be the first one to say thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Corey Martin, and I'm here with One Wilco. I'll be providing a packet via email for each board member tonight with a special welcome letter for the new board members. On behalf of One Wilco, I would like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to the new board members on your recent election to the Williamson County School Board. We commend you for stepping forward to serve our community, and we recognize the dedication and hard work that it takes to advocate for the education and well-being of all students. One Wilco is a nonpartisan organization committed to ensuring that every child in our school system has the opportunity to succeed, with a particular focus on supporting students and families of color who have encountered racism and bullying. We believe that every child, regardless of race or background, deserves a safe, equitable, and empowering educational experience. In the packet, you're going to find 2 parts. The first part is the Fostering Healthy Solutions report that the board received in January of 2021. The board has taken positive action on some of the recommendations in that report, concentrating on the reporting of bullying. And while these are steps in the right direction, there's much more work to be done. One example is the negative impact of having a lack of diversity amongst our educators. Since this report was established in 2021, the percentage of African American educators employed by WCS has declined, has seen a steady decrease. In the 2021 school year, 1.7% of teachers were African American. The next year it was 1.6, and the next year it was 1.5. African American administrators went from 9% to 7.6% to 7.5% over those same years. Contact with diverse teachers can help break down racial barriers and dispel stereotypes that contribute to implicit bias. This is a metric in which our district is actively declining. The second report in the packet is going to pertain to our recent bullying numbers in Williamson County schools. At the work session, there was some discussion around how to analyze bullying numbers, and this report disaggregates bullying instances by motivation. As you will see from the report, racial motivations are the leading reason for bullying. With your help, we hope to have policies in place to reduce those numbers. We at One Wilco provide resources for families who have experienced racially motivated bullying. We look forward to continuing to work with the district to improve the accessibility of a safe educational environment for all students. As always, thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you. Amy Cook, followed by Vivian Cook.
Hello. Welcome all the new board members. My name is Amy Cook, and I'm a proud mother of 3 children attending the Williamson County Schools. And today I stand before you not only as a concerned parent, but as a passionate advocate for equity in our educational system, specifically with the fine arts supplements. And I came before y'all in May of last year, so you might remember this conversation. Since then, I don't think there's been much that's been done for middle school. And so I'm specifically talking about the middle school, okay? These are changes that we desperately need, particularly regarding the compensation of our middle school fine art teachers that still remain unaddressed. And so we're gonna take Mill Creek Middle School, for example. That's where my kids go. And the most incredible teacher, Miss Isom, works there. And also, she's the chair of the Williamson County Fine Arts too. And it's just sad that she gets paid the same amount as a new fine arts teacher. There's no there's nothing that, like, she gets paid the same as someone that just came off the streets and became a fine arts teacher. So that's one thing I just don't think is fair. She also dedicates countless hours to our children, guiding them through theater productions. Yet, for all her hard work, she receives just that $19.25 for the entire school year. And so this equates to about $10.50 an hour, but that's just for the first show. So I'm not very techie. I should have made this bigger, but this is the drowsy chaperone, my daughter Eden. She'll come talk in a minute. This is her. So she gets $10.50 an hour for this. But then we have JTF, which is where they go and they perform in Atlanta. It's like a theater competition. She gets paid nothing. This is just free. She doesn't get paid. Then our biggest show is the spring. And this is Beetlejuice. Y'all need to put it on your calendars. It's going to be the best show. She does that for free. Then, I'm not even joking, y'all. It's exhausting for me, and I'm just the mom. Then she does another play. It's a little smaller at the end. So that's 4 plays. 3 of the plays that she does, literally, she gets no compensation for. And it's just unacceptable. I know you probably also don't want me to bring this up, but I am because I'm a woman and I have 2 daughters. If you think about it, and I looked at some of the data, the male coaches.
15 seconds.
What'd you say?
15 seconds.
Okay. Male coaches, you think about the athletic supplements that are paid differently. They get paid a lot higher than the females that are primarily for the fine arts. So if you think about that and the equal pay law, I feel like there's some violations there too. So I urge you to take action, and I feel like they deserve better.
Okay, that's time. Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Is it okay if I stay up here because my daughter's
Of
coming?
course.
Okay.
Yeah. Vivian Cook, followed by Eden Cook.
Dear school board members, hello, my name is Vivian Cook and I am 9 years old. I want to talk to you about the Fine Arts program in WCS and the amazing work Ms. Isom does for our middle school theater that I hope to be a part of in 2 years. Please look at Exhibit A. This is a Google Calendar from MCMS Fine Arts Theater, and it shows all of the time Ms. Isom spends with my sister and the other students. But this calendar doesn't include all the extra time she spends getting supplies, planning costumes, and making sets look awesome. So I think that the numbers don't really show how hard she works. Here you can see Ms. Isom gets paid about $10.50 an hour with her supplement of $1,925 for Jazzy Chaperone. What I don't understand is why she's getting paid for the rehearsals in time for JTF. And it's crazy that the spring play is always the big play, and this year it's Beetlejuice, and she has to do that for free. And then after Beetlejuice, she has one more play she will direct, and yet she has to do that for free too. Why is that? Why can't she get paid like the coaches who get paid for every season? My brother and sister love being in the Fine Arts program, and I want to make sure it continues for kids like me in the future. If we don't support our teachers, will there even be a program left? Please consider paying our fine arts teachers what they deserve. They work so hard for us, and we want to keep them helping us create amazing performances. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vivian. Now Eden Cook, followed by Katie Centel.
Hi, my name is Eden Cook, and I am in both JTF, which is Xanadu this year, and Jazzy Chaperone, and Mill Creek Middle with Miss Isom. First of all, I want to say thank you for all the hard work that has been done for the high school. We need to focus a lot on the middle school supplements too. Nothing has really changed since last time I spoke in May. Miss Isom is an amazing director that only gets paid $19.25 for a year. Miss Isom if Miss Isom worked at twice daily and probably get paid way more. Lastly, I want to say thank you, and also Miss Isom has built a really strong community, and she is a great person. And the coaches, who is mainly men, get paid more than directors who are in Williamson County, who are mainly female. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Eden. Katie Centel, followed by Sarah Centel.
Thank you all so much for everything that you do. I am a very happy and supported teacher. Thank you. So, my name is Katie Centel. I am a teacher at Mill Creek Elementary. My daughter Sarah is an 8th grader at Mill Creek Middle. You're about to hear from her. And she's been a part of the theater department since her first week of 6th grade. We are here to speak about the inequity in teacher supplements for fine arts teachers. Now, middle school, it isn't easy. We all know that. There's parts that are just harder. There's emotions, there's extra work. Having a program to be a part of since her first week of 6th grade has helped her so much. She has used her talents and she is thriving. All of a sudden, when we have those hard years, they feel better, and we watch as parents seeing our kids thrive in a time where we are kind of bracing for possible hard middle school experiences. It's made me so thankful for theater. My daughter has been led by her theater director, Miss Isom, and given opportunities like the Junior Theater Festival, where she won an incredible award, an outstanding performance by an individual. This was given to 10 students at a conference that had about 6,000 students performing. And I say that because, yes, I'm bragging about my daughter, but she would not have had that experience if it weren't for Miss Isom and her giving her time and talent despite not getting paid properly. She really doesn't get paid to do the whole JTF thing, and it's a big deal to go, and it's been a great experience for us. We're seeing that my daughter has a talent that should be shared. I can tell you that I have heard Mrs. Ison's heart. Soon after that experience, I was like, man, what else could I be doing? My daughter's saying she wants to get into commercials, and people have said, you need to get her an agent. So I'm like, Miss Ison, could you guide me? And yes, she's guiding me. She doesn't just want students to perform for one show. She actually is thinking more than I realized. She's thinking about the future for them. She's thinking past their middle school experience. Yes, she's using their middle school experience, but she's thinking past it. So I want to encourage you to observe the fine arts departments. Yes, at Mill Creek, but all over, because I know my daughter's not going to do the sports, but she's going to do theater, and I think it should be viewed equally. So I do think the opportunities that are being provided by the fine arts departments are endless. Thank you again for thinking about this. It is an inequity right now. It's not equal, and I think it could be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Sarah Centel and then Ben McCormick.
Hi, my name is Sarah Centel, and I am the president of the Junior International Thespian Society at Mill Creek Middle School. And I just want to talk about how incredible my director, Miss Isom, is. She works so hard for all the shows that she does, and she is teaching me and my fellow presidency leadership skills that will help us in the future. I believe that she works equally as hard as the sports coaches. Miss Isom has created a community where we can have a safe place to learn and have fun. Before each show, we have a time all together where we share the things that we love about being in theater and what theater means to us. I've heard so many people say that none of the extracurricular activities they have participated in have a community as special as this one. I feel so blessed to be in a program that I feel cared about, appreciated, and where I can learn about what I love to do. This wouldn't be possible without her hard work and all her effort that she puts into this incredible theater program. Thank you.
Thank you. Ben McCormick, followed by Adam McCormick.
Hello, board members. I am Ben McCormick, and I'm an 8th grade student at Fairview Middle School. I'm also a member of most of the fine arts productions. I think it is unfair that our fine arts teachers get paid less than what our coaches get. Our fine arts teachers do so much for one play. They work tirelessly day and night to make, if I do say myself, a pretty good production. Me being in the fine arts community is quite possibly the best thing that has happened to me. I got caring friends that understand me, and I gained confidence in myself as a person. I cannot thank the fine arts teachers enough for keeping a safe and wholesome environment for us theater kids, and I would very much like it to keep it that way. and unfortunately, their lack of equal pay is driving these amazing human beings away. Now, don't get me wrong, I love sports, but I also love theater just as much, and I'm sure that that is the case for many other students that participate in these productions. So why can't we focus on WCS as a whole? I hope you consider this issue, and thank you so much for your time and cooperation.
Thank you. So Adam McCormick, followed by Angela Frederick.
Hello, my name is Adam McCormick, and I'm an 8th grade student at Fairview Middle School. While being in middle school, I have been a part of every middle school performance. It doesn't seem fair that our coaches are getting bigger pay than our fine arts teachers get, and our fine art teachers work just as hard as our coaches do. They all help us make sets, make light cues, and costumes. They're involved in every detail that make a show come together. Without them, we wouldn't find a place where we belong or a place where we can be ourselves. Theater has had a huge impact on my life where I feel at home when I enter the auditorium. I found my people. In conclusion, the fine arts teachers in our community deserve more respect and better pay than what they are getting right now. Thank you.
Ms. Angela Frederick.
Y'all are always making me follow these children. Thank you so much for your passion, everyone that's come to talk about the fine arts supplements. I will state, as the president of WCEA, we are continually working on this issue. We've been in contact with many fine arts teachers. There is a committee formed now on supplements, and there are fine arts teachers serving on that committee. It does take time. So I know you're frustrated by what seems like a lack of action, but it just takes time to form these things and get them negotiated. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to contact me, angela.frederick@wcs.edu. Okay, on to my scripted comments for the evening. As I stated, I'm Angela Frederick. I'm the president of the Williamson County Education Association. We represent teachers, librarians, counselors, teacher assistants, bus drivers, admin, and support staff. We welcome any conversations with the board about teacher concerns and job satisfaction. As you may have heard it stated before, teacher working conditions are children's learning conditions. Williamson County Schools include students and faculty from all walks of life. WCEA welcomes the new school board members and asks them to bear in mind the concerns of all your constituents when making decisions for your home districts. It's an important task you are embarking upon this evening, and we thank you for your time and efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all of our speakers during public comment, and in particular, the 5 students who spoke. It takes a lot of courage to do that, so we thank you for being here. Okay, with that, we will move on to approval of our agenda. As was mentioned earlier, I believe because of our system being down, we're going to do these votes by voice vote. So I will just ask for a voice vote. All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved.
Do we need to make a
We'll move on to
motion?
the consent agenda. I'm
sure there's a motion on the next one.
Thank you. Move on to the consent agenda. I'm going to read the items that are on the consent agenda, and then I'll ask for a motion for adoption of the consent agenda. So we're asking for approval of the August 19th, 2024 school board meeting minutes, approval of the Town of Nolensville Sunset Road right-of-way request, approval of the Brentwood Middle School gym lobby monitor request, approval of College Grove Elementary concrete sidewalk to the school garden, approval of Fairview Elementary student garden for math and science learning opportunities, and the recommendation for field trip fee requests. Is there a motion for approval? Motion by Ms. Wyatt. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Clements. Okay, again, we'll do voice vote. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is adopted. Communications to the board, and our superintendent's report will be first. Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to reiterate what you said, Mr. Chair, about the public comments, especially our students. It's just always impressive hearing our students speak. I have one-on-one conversations and in classroom-to-one conversations with our students from time to time, and it's just always doubly impressive when they speak in a public setting like this. Very, very impressed with them. And I want to thank our parents for giving us the opportunity to serve your children as well. We don't take that responsibility lightly. As part of that, I did want to give you all a couple of items related to the work we've been doing, especially some comments I made at our work session. We had our annual State of the Schools address at our local Chamber of Commerce, Williamson, Inc., last week. And one of the topics that I mentioned was safety and threats, because something had just happened that day that didn't just touch Williamson County Schools, but touched many, many districts across the state, and frankly, across other parts of the country, as we found from some media reports. In that particular example, the Georgia Department of Education had published a list of what they described as targeted schools, and they were targeted for school improvement. In other words, a list of low-performing schools that were targeted for improvement. Some of the school names actually paralleled Williamson County school names. There happened to be a Woodland Middle on that list. There happened to be a Heritage Middle on that list. There happened to be a Fairview Middle on that list. With Franklin Special School District or Franklin School Special District, there was a Freedom Middle School as well. Across the country, there are so many similarities in school names. Social media picked that up, and individuals started highlighting particular schools that were targeted, and it caused some concern. The belief that perhaps some of our schools were targeted for evil purposes, for bad purposes. We went through the process of investigating that and addressing that. And I tell you that story to tell you that no matter what the issue is, every single concern needs to be investigated. On a pretty much daily basis these days, especially this school year, we hear reports from parents, we hear reports from students about the possibility of a risk to our school. And some of those are actual threats. And some of those turn out to not be threats. Some of those turn out to be threats that we describe as not valid or not credible because they've been investigated and it's been determined that a student might not have had the capacity or an actual plan to do it, but uttered something. We investigate every single one of those. Just today, a question came up related to the presence of someone in one of our communities. And we are happy and appreciate that that issue was brought to our attention as well. Because in every item that we receive from parents, we're going to make sure that the appropriate professionals investigate that. We have a threat assessment team that the state actually assisted us in putting together. And that threat assessment team evaluates every allegation, every concern of a threat. Many members of that threat assessment team include professionals that have the capacity to do things we don't. Law enforcement officers, local district attorney's office is involved. The juvenile court is involved. The whole team in Williamson County, not just Williamson County Schools, investigates threats. So I want you all to know, as parents and grandparents and citizens, that I encourage you to continue to let us know. Anything you hear, we will investigate. We cannot and will not predetermine the result of an investigation. Statistically speaking, our safety department tells us that by and large, most threats that become reality, where someone actually gets hurt, involve somehow, some way, some warning being made to someone. Might not be direct, but somehow, some way, most threats that result in a bad result have been made known to someone. So I want to encourage our community, continue to let us know. We'll make sure law enforcement knows. We'll make sure that we investigate all those threats. We'll make sure the appropriate supports are in place so that we can do all that we can as a community to protect our students. It's interesting that one of the public comments was about bullying behaviors. We know that that commitment to every one of our students being safe every single day requires constant attention. And I thank the commenter for those comments about the effort we've been making. We've been working on a thoughtful, strategic, programmatic plan to do that, but it also involves relationships, just daily relationships that our teachers and our counselors and our administrators build with our students. So I encourage all parents to help us in that way as well. When you need help, even if it's not on its face a safety issue, let us know. Help us be supportive of you and the work you're doing to raise your children. It's amazing the work that I see in our schools. So often parents only see those pieces related to their child, but I want you to know that we are finding ways to support you in meeting your children's needs every day. You will often see in some of our publications just those hints of those things we're doing through our In Focus. I encourage parents to do that. And again, I encourage parents to share with us your thoughts and your concerns. We have also taken some thoughtful steps towards informing our parents better, not just on safety issues, but on the daily work that we do on campus. One example of that is in part related to some new state laws, but us taking the steps to make sure we had personal conversations with parents about curriculum, about counseling services, about our nursing services. And as part of that, just today, we had our annual meeting regarding our family life curriculum. And Dr. Allen tells me that today, I think we had somewhere around 20 community members come and listen to our presentation related to that on our family life curriculum. It's part of the state programming for our students, age-appropriate programming that has a design to, again, keep students safe. Parents will, no later than 30 days before the presentation of that family life curriculum, receive another message from our school administrators letting you know that that's coming. So for everyone who's watching this, everyone in our community, we want to encourage you to be engaged with us. The focus points we have made for our faculty and staff this year is connections. We talk about connections among our faculty and staff, where they work together to identify student mastery of standards, where they're spending time together, identifying individual students' needs so they can make adjustments. We have spent time and will continue to spend time talking about connections with students. There's a lot of data out there that shows students who participate in extracurricular activities have more success. So we've made that a focus point. And finally, we've focused our faculty and staff on connections with parents so that you all, as parents, can become more engaged with Williamson County Schools, especially this year. So with that, as Mr. Chair, I spent a lot of time talking about safety. I do want to thank you and introduce our two deputies who are here tonight, George Hissong and Matt Smith. Thank you all for coming to our board meeting. And final thing I want to mention with Ms. Frederick's comments, one item on the agenda, it's amazing how often we have items at public comment that are related to our agenda. We are starting that process of our what we call PECA, our professional collaboration time with our teachers, and there happens to be an item on the agenda, and I'll mention that when we get that. So with that, Mr. Chair, that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Normally, for the new board members, we will have machines in front of us where you can push the button to ask to be recognized to speak. That's not working tonight, so if there's anyone who wishes to ask a question now about Mr. Golden's report, raise your hand, I'll recognize you. Okay, don't see any. So we'll move on to our new business. The first item, there's 3 items in this section on school board budget. Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item on the agenda, approval of general purpose school funds on September 24 public school security grant $612,378. Mr. Chair, this is a rollover of a grant that was previously approved from state funds that we have encumbered and earmarked for particular projects that are ongoing. Because of the fiscal year schedule, starting on October 1st, with the work ongoing, we are asking to roll over these grant funds to continue payment on those ongoing projects.
Okay, can I get a motion for approval? Mr. Beasley, a second. Mr. Cash, any questions or discussion on this item? Okay, again, by voice vote, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's approved, and we'll move on to the next item, the approval of the general fund purpose fund. Maybe a typo there.
Maybe a typo.
General fund United Way grant for $125,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a United Way grant for tutoring that we use at our elementary schools, after-school tutoring and transportation. Do recommend approval of acceptance of this grant.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval? Ms. Wyatt, in second. Ms. Ibma? Any discussion or questions on this item? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. Final item under the budget is approval of a general purpose school fund transition grant in the amount of $212,339.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an additional state, what we call a state transition grant for students with disabilities in our transition program. And we do recommend approval of the detail for moving that to particular line items.
Okay, do I have a motion? Ms. Clements, and a second by Mr. Welch. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the 2025-26 budget preparation calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After much discussion among a number of board members last year during our budget process, we are recommending what I view as a substantial change from our traditional process of introducing the budget to you in March. That really is our deadline to get it to the county commission. But Ms. Rachel Farmer, our CFO, has put together a proposal here that will ultimately give you a view of our budget a month earlier in February with a plan to have a vote in March. That will give you a month to contemplate the budget proposal, additional time to ask questions related to that budget. So we do recommend approval of this proposed budget calendar.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second to get this on the floor? Motion by Mr. Galbraith, second by Ms. Wyatt. Any discussion or questions? I'll just make a comment that I think this is something that is, as we discussed in the work session the other night, is really a welcome. I know we've been doing this in the past, but the level of detail here is really welcomed, and I think it's going to give us a great insight into the details of the process, but also the opportunities to participate along the way at multiple points. So I want to say thank you. Any other questions or comments?
If I may, Mr. Chair, respond to that really briefly. I want to thank our department heads and our leadership team for looking at that and taking that additional effort to plan. I do want to remind everyone that on the revenue side, we see this every March. There were some elements of the revenue we may not be aware of, but we know and we are confident we can get you for sure a good, clear request related to the expense side of the budget.
All right. All in favor of approval of this calendar, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. Next item is the approval of the collaborative conferencing team.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the item I mentioned earlier. Tennessee state law has a structure called the Professional Educators Collaborative Conferencing Act, which is the acronym PECA. Through this PECA process, we meet with leaders from Williamson County Schools Teachers Association, the WCEA, led by Ms. Frederick, based on the election structure that they have for our teachers. That's a 3-year MOU that results from this, and every year in the middle of those 3 years, we do have that responsibility and commitment to talk with our teacher leaders. This is the team that I'm requesting represent Williamson County Schools in that discussion. This actually is the exact same team we had in the previous year, so I do recommend approval.
All right. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Welch, second? Mr. Beasley? All right. Any questions or comments? Mr. Galbraith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason, from this is just legitimately a question that I don't know the answer to, and I think everybody with our new board members will appreciate the explanation. But can you explain the kind of the framework under which WCEA is recognized and how, is it state law and the PECA process in general?
Sure, thank you for that. And I may just ask Ms. Osbrooks, our general counsel, to be thinking about my comments to just double check me, make sure I get this right. State law allows for teachers to request this process, this collaborative process. It requires a minimum of 15% of our licensed educators to make a written request of us to do this, and that structure is set every 3 years. Since this process started, and I can't remember how long it's been in place. Actually, there's an older process that predates my presence here, and I'm in my 19th year. Every 3 years, our teachers, there has been a substantial number over that 15% who've made that request of us. As part of that, each teacher's organization has the ability under Tennessee law to identify a certain number of seats at the table. Throughout our time with PECA, the WCEA has had every single seat at the table based on the professional teacher side described by state law, and that is 7. Likewise, we have 7 as well to match that number. We have a responsibility, in essence, to discuss pay, benefits, and working conditions. And so we have an MOU that we publish based on that you all approve. The state law structure is that we have an obligation to discuss those items, but then you all as a board have an obligation to decide, will you make the commitment based on that proposal that is presented to you. Ms. Osbrooks, any other detail?
I'm going to add a couple of things, a couple more terms and conditions that we do have to negotiate, because you will see that in our MOU. Superintendent Golden mentioned salary or wages. Grievance procedures will also be included. Insurance, so benefits, working conditions, leave. You will see teachers' leave specifically mentioned in our MOU, and those are all per state law. But otherwise, I think you've hit it.
So thank you for that. And I apologize. I don't hear very well, but is it, did you say 50%?
15%.
And so Ms. Frederick said that they represent teachers, TAs, like bus drivers, like all on the spectrum, but the qualification is just based on teachers, but any employee is eligible to join. Is that
I can't speak to their organization specifically, but in the PECA process, our obligation is for the professional educators that are not management, and then there's some specificity in that in the law. So those who receive the benefits of the memorandum of understanding are those professional educators who are not management.
Okay. So basically, we've got this overarching law that governs this. So if there were indeed multiple organizations that had 15%, then that would warrant them a seat at the table.
That is correct. And there is another organization in Williamson County Schools among our teachers, Professional Educators of Tennessee, that they have not received the percentage that up to this point.
And when is that, when do they go about electing that? Because I know we're kind of right to work and have, you know, so they're not unionized necessarily. So how does that, how do they kind of advertise to teachers, or like what kind of access do we give them to do
Well,
that?
you're correct that it's an association, it's not a union. They communicate, I can't speak to how they communicate, but they do have, through the MOU, some access for meetings. I do know that their structure, their internal structure is that they have what I think of as a building representative. They have assigned, they actually call it I'm using the acronym, and Dana, I'm trying to remember, it's an AR. I can't remember the acronym for that, but they do have a representative in their organization for each of their buildings.
But, and do you know approximately what percentage of teachers are members of WCA?
I do not. There was a time where we had a pretty good idea based on employees choosing automatic withdrawal from their paycheck. But if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Hall, that actually is not the case anymore.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I do not know.
So they just represented, so they represented that they have 15%, and that's.
Well, we
so-
actually get signed documents from individuals. And so once they reach that 15% threshold, that guarantees the discussion. And beyond that, I don't know.
Interesting.
Ms. Osbrooks, Ms. Hall, anything you can add to that?
So the time frame for that is October 1st through November 1st per state law. We go through that process every 3 years. And as Superintendent Golden said, who can sign, and then we would verify after a petition is turned into the superintendent's office that they in fact could be, they could have a vote or a voice as part of that 15%. So obviously for 2024, 2025, that has not occurred yet since we're in September.
So thank you for that, Ms. Osbrooks. We receive the signatures that reach that 15% threshold, and then all professional educators can select who they want representing them.
Okay, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Ms. Clements?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There we go. I was curious, I know this has been, I think, the same team for 3 years. When this team, the one that we're voting on, was originally formed, who, was it the executive committee that formed it, or who, was it WCA? Was it a collaborative forming this group, or how did this form?
It's exclusively us. We do not collaborate with the WCA for our leadership team. I will tell you, the individuals that we recommend, the thinking behind it is making sure that we have all the departments that might be involved in decision-making for us as the management team, and I may be misusing that term these days based on the new law, are represented. So we have secondary schools, elementary schools,
Right.
teaching, learning, and assessment. We actually have 2 from our finance department, in part because we can have 7, and in part because Ms. Robbins it leads our payroll department. And so that's a big issue there. And of course, human resources, and then Ms. Osbrooks to make sure that we're compliant with the law.
So this is completely through central office?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Can I get you guys to scroll up a little bit so we can see the entire list on the screen?
It's there.
Okay, I was thinking that the other members were on there as well.
That is actually the calendar committee.
Okay. My mistake. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, so we do have a motion and a second on the floor, so we'll now go to a vote. All those in favor of the collaborative conferencing team as listed, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. Next item on the agenda is approval of board parameters for the 25-26 school calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all know, our board policy for the school calendar includes the opportunity for you all to set parameters. We had a pretty good discussion at the work session regarding a little bit of our history of those parameters, along with some detail we shared of things that might have been parameters in the past, but have become things that we recognize were really good processes to have, really good commitments to have related to our school calendar. I have not heard from any of you individually with any recommendations for parameters. I would like to make sure that you all have the opportunity, if you'd like to ask any questions, especially of Dr. Lee Webb, who has traditionally led our calendar committee, is actually on the next agenda item as well, for any questions that you may have related to our parameters and the commitments we make related to our annual school calendar.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second to get this on the floor? Motion by Mr. Welch, second by Ms. Clements. Any questions or comments? Does anybody want to hear from Dr. Webb? I know we had a pretty good discussion about this at the work session. Ms. Johnson?
At the work session, I talked about the snow days because I hear from employees and parents about the 10 snow days that historically we really have not used. So I would like for that to at least be considered. And then one concern I have is if we have those 10 snow days, are our school-based employees being compensated for those days? Because I think she said that they were working like 37 extra minutes a day. When I went and looked at salary schedules, I think the teachers were 200-day contracts, and classified staff are being paid for 8 hours when it's 8.5 or, whatever. So just something I'd like to have considered that I've heard from my constituents. So.
Thank you for those questions. I'll speak a little bit to the first question about the 10 inclement weather days. Tennessee law allows up to 13 days, which includes, from a complexity standpoint, some professional development days, plus the opportunity for inclement weather days. The state law also requires us to have 180 instructional days with that day defined by hours. We actually, for a number of years, have had 177 days with additional time in each day to equal that 180 days plus the time, and we have built in those 10 days. Classified staff are paid on an hourly rate, and then they have a lunch period or break periods in there. So they do get paid hourly based on the wage and hour laws at the federal level, and we always pay them based on the actual time they work. Generally speaking, they are on a 35-hour work week with a half hour built in each day for lunch or break, for a 37.5-hour week. For the teachers and our other professional staff, Dr. Webb, if you would go give a little bit of detail of that. And then I will make the commitment on behalf of Dr. Webb that we will talk about the inclement weather days. Dr. Webb?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. We absolutely will pull historical data and look at the amount of snow day time that we've utilized, and it'll be a part of our conversation.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approval of the parameters with the understanding that we're not adding any parameters to the calendar committee's charge. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. Now we'll move on to approval of the calendar committee itself.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You all see the memo that we discussed during the work session regarding the recommendation for calendar committee. This is one example of a product of our memorandum of understanding with the WCEA, where we make a commitment to give teachers selected by the WCEA a seat at the table for the calendar committee. We also include for us a parent, and so we have some district level administrators in this recommendation, along with a parent plus the WCA representatives. Do recommend approval.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second, please? Motion by Ms. Hibma, second by Mr. Welch. Do we have that list that we can have on the screen just for a quick review?
Well, Mr. Chair, as I'm looking at it, there may be some error in this. And I have that memo here, if I may read that. The following individuals are recommended to serve on the calendar committee for this coming school year, nominated by me. Jenny Lopez, Executive Director of Teaching, Learning, and Assessment. Kevin Deck, our Assessment Analysis. Just a quick FYI, he leads our testing schedules, so his presence is important for that reason because of the state testing. Dr. Julie Oyer, Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools. Lee Webb, Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Schools. And Portia Folk, a Williamson County Schools parent who is in the Page cluster. In addition, the WCA has recommended the following individuals to serve on the committee: Angela Frederick, Nolensville High School and WCEA President; Wilson Boyd from Ravenwood High School; Judy Kleiner from Mill Creek Middle School; Tracy Rise from Thompson Station Elementary; and Beverly Purvis from Westwood Elementary.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments about the calendar committee? Okay, all in favor of approval of the committee, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. Our final agenda item for the evening is approval of our textbook adoption committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This year is the adoption cycle at the state level for science textbooks. Dr. Allen, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're 8 years into the use of I guess the last time we went through the adoption cycle based on the state schedule. We have a board policy structured to have a recommendation for the textbook adoption committee. We have 3 groups recommended for this: teacher members, which are attached; parent members, which are attached; and we are also recommending, for the first time in the time I've been here, an ex officio member from the Board of Education, Dr. Claire Reeves, to participate with the committee as an ex officio member. Just generally speaking, we have a representative from every school for teachers. We have 6 parent representatives for elementary, 3 representatives for middle school textbooks, and 3 representatives for high school textbooks. Tim, if you don't mind, can you scroll down just so they can see that the list? It's quite a long list of the committee who will be spending this year reviewing the state selections for textbooks and making a recommendation for adoption.
Okay, any questions? I know we discussed this on Thursday at the work session, but any additional questions or comments about this committee? Mr. Cash?
Chair, Jason, just explain to the general public a little bit how this works, how the teachers come up, you know, which teachers, which parents. Could you just kind of explain that a little bit?
Thank you for that. So the textbook adoption structure and cycle starts at the state level. There is a Tennessee Textbook Commission, and it is a long name, but I think of them as the Tennessee Textbook Commission. They go through the process analyzing proposals from different publishers based on the Tennessee standards. And they evaluate various textbooks from the publishers and create a selection for school districts to choose from based on their evaluation of those proposed textbooks meeting the Tennessee standards. At that point, those choices from the state level go to each local education association, LEA, or school district for us to evaluate. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Allen, they give us somewhere between 5 and 7 sets of the textbooks that the publishers provide them based on their obligation. We set those textbooks at different locations through the district, including a location at our professional development room, which is the room that we have our work sessions. We have multiple schedules for public meetings where citizens, members of the public can come, look at the textbook proposals and the choices, ask questions of our staff, and go through that process. Likewise, teachers have that opportunity to look at textbooks through that process. We then solicit comments in addition to the public, in addition to comments from teachers. We solicit from the teachers their preference among those textbook choices. All that information is shared with the textbook selection committee that you all are voting on now, in addition to detailed discussions related to the content, comparison of the Tennessee standards, et cetera, across the board from kindergarten to 12th grade in all the sciences. This year, there are actually 2 additional classes that are being considered. One is AP Psychology, Advanced Placement Psychology, because the Tennessee standards have changed substantially, and at the time of the change, the textbook had not changed, and now it has. We're going to ask for a review for that particular book and one particular math course that had a similar event. It was a new math course for which there was not a textbook when the math adoption cycle was 2 years ago. With that, I've given a very brief nutshell, even though it was a lot of words. Dr. Allen, I want to ask you, is there any key element of that I missed?
I think you did a great job. We had a great presentation by Ms. Sauer, our curriculum director, on Thursday. You've outlined the process well. In short, the TDOE and Tennessee Textbook, or the Textbook Commission, provide us a list. That list, as we mentioned Thursday night, of publishers has to be 100% aligned to Tennessee standards. And then our textbook committee, with parent and community input, seek input from all of our teachers, and then they make a decision based on all of that input, and we bring that recommendation to the board. You did a very nice job summarizing that.
Thank you. And actually, your comments triggered 2 thoughts, 2 improvements, one of which is state level and one of which is local that is fairly new. The Textbook Commission, during the math adoption cycle 2 years ago, actually, to use an old vernacular, held the publishers' feet to the fire to make sure that those texts were aligned to Tennessee standards and to some degree met every Tennessee standard. I had a discussion with one of the members of that committee where that took multiple cycles to convince the publishers that was what they expected. We've seen that with the science textbooks too. So that's been a real positive improvement at the state level with a selection process over history. Second, locally, we will be presenting to you at each work session until this work is done, a report from Dr. Allen's department with where we are logistically and substantively.
I just got 2 things. Maybe Dave or Mr. Allen can answer this, but math for decision making. Give an explanation on that, and does that count as a math class for our high schoolers?
Thank you, Dr. Allen, and actually Dr. Webb might want to answer that as well. Dr. Allen?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Cash. Yes, that class does count as a credit for our students, choosing that as a required graduation credit. We adopted math textbooks 2 years ago. The course standards were in place at that time, but there were no texts available for this particular course. And so this is the first opportunity that we've had to adopt a text that is available. That's why we're bringing in both AP Psychology and math reasoning for decision making. There's only one text available. So it's going to be a short evaluation. That's all that's available from the state right now. But we're still going to put that in front of everyone and make sure that it aligns to state standards and make sure that it aligns to our standards.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Cash, I want to give you a little bit more detail about the credit. State law requires Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 for graduation, and then there's an additional 4th credit that's required. This is one of those opportunities. Dr. Webb?
That is correct. So this could count as the 4th math credit after Algebra 2. I believe we've had a presentation previously about computer science. Computer science also may substitute for a graduation requirement, and it can double as the requirement for mathematics.
Thank you.
Okay, I failed to get a motion and a second on this, so let me get that before we can proceed. Motion by Mr. Welch, second by Ms. Clements. Any further discussion, questions? All right, with that, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of approving the textbook adoption committee, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You approve. With that, we have completed our agenda. Once again, welcome to all the new board members. You've got the first meeting under your belt. Congratulations, and we are adjourned.